I just want to share a little bit about what's going on with me this past week. I'm finally back home. Definitely it's a struggle, right? When you go on a trip, when you're out of your routine, jumping from time zone to time zone, and really just trying to get back to normal. It's kind of tough for me, it was anyway. I'm not perfect. So switching on and off, like, hey man, let's get back into work mode. Honestly, I don't want to work sometime, right? Not all of us wants to work. I like to work, but I don't know if I want to work when I just came back from a vacation, hanging out with my family and, just traveling all across the country. It was not, a, I would say it was not a comfortable experience. It was a mix of uncomfortable and a little bit of comfort, not all the time. The only comfort that I found was AC. As long as there was air conditioning, I found a lot of comfort in that. Just imagine that you were living in Vietnam or in Texas with no air conditioning. Some people right now don't have air conditioning, which is crazy because of tornadoes and some of the storms that we had. And when I came back, I found out I was like, whoa, they're out of power for weeks. But I know it's going to take some time for me to recover. Jet lag, uh, the time difference. My kids and my wife, man, they've been staying up to like 12 a.m. pretty much for like 4 nights now. So it's not fun. And they're waking up like at 12 p.m. If I allow them to sleep, if I keep letting them sleep, they'll just sleep all the way to 12 p.m. So we've been trying to recover. It's been a battle. And it's hard because the kids not waking up early because we got to get back into the routine. They got camp. And, I started noticing a few things that I was doing. So when I can't sleep at night, when it's like 11 p.m. at night, and I'm like, I need to go to bed so I can wake up early. I start scrolling on my phone. And so I'll lay in bed and I just start scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or something. I don't know what I was looking for. Right? Sometimes you ever notice like you just grab your phone and then you start scrolling. You're like, it's 11 at night. Who's up right now? Who's working right now? And you don't really want to work. I'm not really want to working at, I don't really want to work at 11 p.m. at night when I don't have to. And so this habit started forming the last few days and I was like, I have to cut this out. If I keep doing this, I'm most likely gonna like pick up a bad habit that I don't want for the next 2 3 months. And so I was wondering, what is this feeling I was feeling, what I was looking for? I felt like something was missing. I felt like I wasn't doing enough throughout the day, maybe. Usually I reflect back and I'm like, maybe I feel unsatisfied about the day. Like I feel like the day was wasted or the day was too short. Maybe I slept in and I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. Like normally I wake up at 5 a.m. That's my normal routine. But now I'm like sleeping into like 7 or 8. And I'm slowly waking up a little bit earlier. Luckily today I was able to wake up at 6 a.m. Because I was like, okay, I got something I gotta do. I gotta show up. So 6 a.m. I was able to get up. Slowly I've been trying to get up at 6 a.m. And slowly pushing it back to 5 a.m. again. And I knew that was gonna happen, but I didn't know it was going to be like because I never been on a trip like this long, like for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I'm always my trips normally is like maybe one week or so is probably the most. And just thinking back, I was seeking something when I was laying in bed. I guess I was seeking to distract myself, seeking to find comfort, maybe seeking to be entertained, right, on my phone at 11 p.m. at night, all the way 12 a.m. And just because I was going through multiple time zone, like I went to Vietnam, I went to Korea, I went to Hawaii. I thought Hawaii was the same time zone as America. It is not. It's like 7 hours behind. So if you guys go to Hawaii, you could be 7 hours behind. So just remember that it's not the same time just because it's in America doesn't mean it's the same time zone. So 7 hours behind. So I was jumping to a lot of different time zone. And so I want to kind of now I'm thinking like I need to I have to reset. I have to restart myself again. I gotta get myself back on track. But how do you do that? So let's think about like what are some of the things that get us to take action, right? What are some of the reasons? What are the reasons why what are the source of the I guess like a source of like taking action? What gets us to really start doing our routine, or what get us to do anything? And so a lot of the source of that action is pretty much, so for me, strong why, purpose is great. Being disciplined, if you have great discipline, you'll take action. But that's not the only thing. That's not the main reason why you take action every single day. A lot of the reasons why we follow through on things, or why we don't follow through on things, uh, because, we lack some form of like motivation. We lack some form of reward that we find very valuable. And so this trip took me off for a loop because, I lost a lot of that. My main thing was I was thrown off track because now I'm in a new place and I'm jet lagged. I lack sleep. My sleep habit is not right. But the main thing was my dopamine level was probably thrown off. Why? Because if you think about dopamine, you think that is a pleasure chemical. We always think that is a neurotransmitter that gives us pleasure, makes us feel good. But honestly, it's a type of reward system that your brain developed to help you take action. That's one of the main reasons why we do anything every day anyway. Because it's not a chemical that helps you stay motivated, but it's a chemical that helps you anticipate a reward. And what do I mean by that? Sexual relationship or eating really good food. Before you eat it, it's excitement, right? And when you eat it, you get rewarded. And after you finish eating it, you're like, I don't want to eat it anymore. It's really a transmitter that gives you the desire to take action, to earn that exciting reward, if you think about it. So it gets you to take action in a way. So if you're really hungry, like for millions of years, this chemical helps us, this neurotransmitter, honestly, it helps us survive and reproduce, right? When you're out there, you're hunting. When you're hungry, you hunt. The anticipation of the hunt gets you excited. And then when you finally hunted an animal, when you kill an animal, now you have food to eat. Now the excitement is over. So that's not going to change. So that dopamine thing is still there. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because my dopamine was probably thrown out of whack on my trip. Because why? I'm in a different environment. Half the time I'm doing different things. I'm doing a bunch of crazy activity. I went to this place. So for example, so every day we were doing something, right? Just think about that. You're at your house, you're on this routine Monday to Sunday, right? And then you go to another place and you're traveling, you're doing this thing. I went to this bamboo forest in Japan, right? It's cool. You're walking around, there's bamboo everywhere. So it was really awesome. Then I went to this place called, God, what's the name of this place? Something Planet, but it's like a light show, like sensory light show. There's different environment. There's like a water show inside the this warehouse, but they built it really nice. The Japanese built it really nice. It's beyond planet or something like that. And so you're highly stimulated. And so every other day I'm doing something different. And so, I'm getting so many different like feelings and excitement. I get back home. Guess what happened? You're like, oh, I feel kind of dull today. I feel kind of bored. I'm not feeling really energized or inspired to sit on my computer and, work. And everyone here know what I'm talking about. You feel kind of unfulfilled. You feel like you're not excited about what you're doing, right? You're not feeling excited about going to work. You're not feeling excited about doing the boring tasks that you have. So the real problem for me was, and for all of us, when you go travel or when you go do something else besides your most important task, is being highly stimulated, being overly stimulated to a point where you lack that feeling of fulfillment. Now you're addicted to all these stimulants and you always need something to stimulate you more so that you can feel a little bit satisfied. And so when you don't get that, you feel a little empty. And so I come back home and now I'm like, okay, I need to get back to work, but I am feeling like I'm missing something. And and of course, for me, traveling with my family, doing all those throughout the multiple countries, multiple places, everything new every single day, every single week. I'm meeting new people, new places, new languages, new challenges, right? Because man, when I was in Japan, I had no idea which way I was going on the subway. Like sometimes it was faster to take the subway than getting in a car because it was crowded. I was stuck. I remember sitting in a taxi in downtown Tokyo, and it was like, I don't know, 1 p.m. And I'm like, why are we not moving? Right? Because there's so many people. There's thousands of people that, like, I mean, there's millions of people and there's millions of tourists. There's 3 times the tourists. It's crazy. There's 3 times the tourists in the city. And so everybody's trying to go somewhere, and I'm stuck in traffic. And so usually we would take the subway, and I have no idea what, like, I don't speak Japanese, so I have no idea what it's saying. And this one time we took the wrong train, and because we taking the wrong train, it took us, instead of an hour to our place, it took us 4 hours. And that was a fun experience because I'm sitting in a train with me and my wife. We're tired, and then with 2 tired kids, especially the young one. If you guys don't have kids, you guys won't understand. But in Japan, you could be in a train filled with people and it's silent, right? It's very quiet. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's talking to you. Nobody's looking at you. It's kind of creepy actually, because you got hundreds of people in a train and nobody's talking. And then my youngest, she's like, I'm tired. And she's screaming, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I want to go home. And I'm like, man, like, be quiet. Like, you want to beat them so they stop talking. But then if I did that, she'll start screaming. If I spanked her in the middle of public, she might start screaming even more. So literally that's what happened. And so, I'm always experiencing these new places. So my dopamine level is probably thrown out the whack. I'm stimulated all the time. And so now my brain wants more of it when I get back home. And so now I'm home, back into this normal environment, it feels a little boring to stay, and it's a little bit harder to stay focused on some of the tasks that I normally do. So let's do a little quick reflection here for everybody. We're in Q2, right? We've been doing the same thing for the last, maybe 2 to 3 months. Let's do a little quick reflection. What are you addicted to? What are you craving right now? What is overstimulating you right now? Don't share your dark secrets. We don't need to know. This is not the place for that, but just write it down personally. What is it that's you've been attacked? Is it Facebook? Have you been scrolling on Facebook? Have you been, watching a lot of shows? Have you been drinking a lot? Write some of those things down. What have you been doing? Like, have you been hanging out with friends more than you should? Right? Write that down so that we can start identifying some of the things. Or maybe you've just been avoiding something. Like, what are you addicted to that's stopping you? Like, maybe is it checking your emails every single day for no reason? Looking for some deals on your emails, like shopping, right? Some people do that. They look for deals in their emails. They're like, oh my God, it's a steal, but maybe it's not really a deal. So spend some time reflecting on that. Write down some of the things that you're addicted to. What are you craving? What is stimulating you a lot? And honestly, you won't know until you sit down and you reflect on that. So the biggest problem is the biggest problem. It's stopping you from doing the boring work because you're overstimulated. Now, like I said, my travel really stimulated me because every day I was doing something, some new activity, some new exciting activity. It's like as if I'm watching new shows every day, right? You ever watch binge Netflix and every new episode is a cliffhanger, and then the problem is Netflix just automatically plays it every 3 seconds. You're like, it's a countdown. Oh, I don't want to, I want to stop, but I can't. The remote is too far away and I can't shut it off. And so the next episode will play. And that's what it is. You constantly getting engaged. And that's what scrolling on social media does too as well. So I felt bored being back. and I'm doom scrolling on social media at 11 at night, 12 a.m., and it's creating this bad cycle where I can't wake up in the morning. And now I'm coming back into my daily routine. I'm really trying to build out that routine that I'm familiar as well. Now, I know some of you guys feel that way, right? Maybe you guys are in a place where you feel like your activity is getting boring. Who feels like some of the things that they're doing are getting really boring? Raise your hand. If you feel like what are you doing right now is feeling really boring, raise your hand. Right? All of us gotta feel bored right now because you're in the same place. All of us, raise your hand. Because if you repeatedly do the same thing over and over, and you're adding an activity that stimulates you, that you enjoy. A lot of people enjoy happy hours. It's going to make everything else boring. And so you end up skipping. You don't want to do the boring stuff. You feel unhappy doing the boring stuff. So I know I feel this way sometimes too, because, you know, when I'm hanging out with friends a lot more, when I'm going out to the lake a lot, when I'm, doing just activities that I really enjoy, everything else seems to feel not as fun. And this today is just really a reminder, right? Because when you are not focused on doing the most important tasks, the boring tasks, you're gonna feel unaccomplished, and it's gonna feel unfulfilled because you feel like you just ignored your responsibility essentially. And most of the time when you feel unfulfilled is because you didn't do something that you plan to do that day. And so here, the reason why we're bringing this up is because, it's not about motivation. Honestly, it's about how you are managing the stimulation that you get every single day, because we're creatures of attention, and whatever stimulates us, we get attention. We put our attention towards it. So when you're spending most of your time with highly stimulated activities, and studies have shown that you build up that dopamine resistant. That means like you need more of it to feel excited, to feel like you get enjoyment out of it. And so this leads to a lack of concentration and focus on the things that you don't enjoy. And it gets hard. So it gets harder to do boring tasks, right? It gets harder to do boring tasks. And who wants to do boring tasks? Not really anybody. But when you make it harder to do boring tasks, it gets harder, and then you might not do it. So what type of activities am I referring to? Because that cause you to be overly stimulated. Honestly, I think everybody in here is no. Gaming, social media, gambling. If you guys like gambling, drama is something that overstimulates you. Dude, drama is a big thing, because if you're reading the news, negative news, that's drama. If you have talking to friends and gossiping, that's drama, and it causes stimulation. So be careful of that. Sex, porn, TV, drugs, alcohol, constantly checking your emails for no reason, cell phone notification, watching YouTubes, and there's other things out there that cause overstimulation. But those are the things that I think everyone here can recognize. So the longer you do this, the more resistance you develop. And so now your dopamine level will start requiring more highly stimulated activity, like highly energized activity that requires you to do that more, just to get more of that good reward feeling. So you're always looking for the next source, right? You're always looking for the next episode. You're always looking for the next situation or event to get you excited. And if you don't, you get unsatisfied. So for me, constantly scrolling on social media. Some of us here do that too. Sometimes you spend hours without realizing it. And guess what? That's the real problem. So let's talk about some of the action that we can take, because to stop it, if not, then it becomes a bad habit. And when it becomes a bad habit, it leads you to not taking charge of some of the activities that you need to do. And then now you look back and you regret not taking action on what you need to do to reaching your goals. So it stops you from having long-term thinking. That's really the big problem here. Long-term thinking mentality instead of long-term thinking, you're focusing on short-term thinking. So what I mean by that is instead of saying I need to get things done today so that I can reach my goals tomorrow, that's long-term thinking. You're wasting time right now because I want to enjoy myself. I want to relax in this moment. That's short-term thinking. A lot of it is delayed gratification. If that makes sense, right? Delayed gratification is long-term thinking. But if you're saying, I'd rather just scroll on social media right now to waste time, I want to enjoy myself, I want to relax, that's short-term thinking. So, okay, hopefully you guys understand that. That's pretty simple. And study have shown that the greatest predictor of success are those who have the ability to think long-term. So if you look at Jeff Bezos, we all know Jeff Bezos, the creator of Amazon. He built this business starting in 1994. And the business is not profitable until 2003. So he focused on building a long-term foundation and reinvest everything back into his business. He's a billionaire now, okay? Even after the divorce, he's still a billionaire. So what a lucky guy. But, are you willing, and the woman that was his wife, his ex-wife, lucky for her too. Are you willing to wait? Remember this. Are you willing to wait 9 to 10 years and not take a profit? Right? He delayed that gratification by reinvesting everything back into the business. So are you willing to wait 9 to 10 years to make money? Are you willing to wait 9, 10 years to take a profit? Right? That's delayed gratification. Of course, he's getting a salary so that he can live. But the truth is, all of us here, are you willing to wait? Because this is a long-term business. We're talking about building a long-term business, a long-term journey. This is not just for 6 months. This is not for 12 months. This is not for 1 or 2 years. This is for you learning a process that you can apply to other businesses for the next 3 to 4 years of your life, the next 10 years of your life. You continue to consider entrepreneurship a part of you. You're developing that skill and that habit. It sounds easy, yes, to delay the gratification, to not take a profit, to build out a long-term skill that you can apply in other businesses. It sounds easy, but it is hard to do. Because why? Because we so used to get that instant feedback. So another problem is that we're so used to getting the instant feedback, right? From social media, from emails, from content, from instant TikTok content, from notification, from streaming, from Uber Eats, right? So many convenience, grocery delivery. Like we so used to getting the instant feedback that we no longer want to wait. And so we're so used to, now we're wiring our brain to think that, everything is going to come really fast. We're going to get results right away. Everything's coming fast instantly. That's all we want. Waiting is for losers. Who want to wait? Let's make $1 million tomorrow. Like, I wish that's possible, but it's not possible for a lot of us. Right? It sounds easy, but it's not that easy. Just like I have a friend, he makes like it's crazy. Like he makes like I think $20,000-$30,000 a day. But the level of effort it took him 10 years in that business to develop the skill to be able to do something like that. Right? 10 years of like up and down, losing, winning, for him to be able to do something like that. He also have other people in the industry that he knows that have businesses that generates, $5 million a month. But it took them 15 to 20 years to build that up to that level. So you can, right? You can build that type of business. You can build that type of cash flow, that income, but it takes time. And so just remember, this is not a short-term thing. This is a long-term investment. So the thing I want you to take away here is that overstimulation of your mind is keeping you from doing the most important tasks, the most difficult and boring tasks. And that is also keeping you from having that long-term thinking mentality, right? And I want you to also understand that your mind will play tricks on you too, right? It's going to tell you certain things, give you excuses so that you don't leave the highly stimulating activity. Right, so here's a few examples of that. So let's say you're scrolling on social media like I was. I can start the work up again later. That's the excuse that I always have in my mind. Like, I can do it later. It's fine. It's easy to start it up again. And when I say this, every time my brain's telling me this, I'm like, okay. Next thing you know, 2 hours later, I'm like, dude, did I just wasted 2 hours of my life scrolling? Like, that's what my brain is telling me. Like, I can do it later is the second thing. I can do it later. And next thing you know, I put it off for tomorrow. And this is a very bad habit, and we continue to develop that. All right, I can do this later. Don't do it later. Do it now. All right, number 3, fun and excitement is fulfilling. That's not true, because some fun out there are not fulfilling at all, and you guys know that. There are plenty of examples where some fun are not fulfilling. So fun and excitement is not fulfillment. True fulfillment comes from connection. For me, it's really, the truth is connection with other people, right? Accomplishing something is fulfillment. Achieving your goals is fulfillment. Keeping promises to yourself is fulfillment. So when you say, so for me, when I came back, I just told myself, because I planned this out already, because I knew this was going to happen. I said, I'm just going to do one thing every single day, and that's it. I'm not going to do too many. I just got to get one thing done. And every day I did one thing, and I was like, hey, at least I did this. At least I got this done. Meeting with the team, at least I got to show for a meeting with the team, and every day I show for a meeting with the team. I just got to spend 30-minute writing. So I just started writing every single day, 30 minutes, just one thing. That's all I focus on. And then from that one thing, it created momentum for the next few activities that I need, a few tasks I need to get done. So always, right now, if you feel stuck, commit to just one thing, one activity, and then that will create that momentum for the next. Okay. Number 4, here's another one. I just want to relax. Like, this is a way for me to relax. Let's scroll on social media to relax. Let's shop. Let's window shop on Amazon, right? Let's scroll on Amazon and see what we can find. What's the hot deals. Let's watch some TV to relax. It's okay if you have great discipline, but it's not okay if you're binging, right? Number 5, checking emails constantly because I might be missing something. Right? Oh, there's an update. Somebody email me something, a company might email me something. Honestly, if it was from an email, it might not be that important that you have to look at it right away. And the last one I think is very important. I think a lot of people do this all the time. The text message are coming and I have to reply right away. They need me. I need to reply to this text message. It's urgent. Everyone does this. My wife does this a lot. So I'm like, they text you. If it was important, they will call you, right? We always prioritize other people's attention. You're allowing other people's attention to hijack your attention. Because somebody texts you, your notification's on, and you're like, oh, somebody's messaging me. I'm doing this boring task. Somebody just messages me. It's exciting. It might be a friend. And now you're replying back to them. It pulls you away from the things that you were doing. But the truth is, if it was important, they would call you. If it was an emergency, they'll call you. And so notification, and this applies to notification. So if you have a lot of friends, if you're a big social circle, and they're texting you all the time, you don't have to reply to them. It's not that important. If it's important, if it's like life and death, and they'll call you. So there's other tricks that your mind plays on you to get you to keep doing the overstimulating tasks, like scrolling and watching TV. So there's a lot of other things that your mind would say. If you have any other thoughts on that, write it down, like how your mind plays tricks on you to get you not to do what you got to do. And most of the time for me, when that happens, it's from exhaustion. Like, I'm tired, not getting a lot of sleep. That's why it's so important to, get good sleep, to get good rest, is so that you have the will and your willpower battery to be full, so that you can combat certain activities like this, certain mindset that's very like uh, automated through your lifetime of growing up. This was built up through your lifetime, and so it's a hard habit to break if you're tired. So the reason why we're discussing all of this really is just the focus is just reset your mind. I know I need to do this. I don't know if you guys need to do this, but this is quarter 2. We've been tired. We've been exhausted. Some of us have kids, some of us don't, but we have stressful jobs. And so there are things that we do that maybe is developing to a poor habit. And this is a reminder for us to start taking action, start eliminating those things again. And I will always remind you, like, remember, we don't need to be told once. We only need to be told once. We always constantly need to be reminded, right? We're like children. Honestly, that's the truth of it. We're told once, but we got to be reminded. We forget. There's too many things going on in our life, so we forget. So let's talk about how to reset. You can do this 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, or a week. So you choose, spend a moment in a month to start resetting your mind from all the stimulating activities. Just give yourself a break. And choose the things that are like really causing you to get distracted. And here are some of the steps you can. So number one, really, is just to identify the biggest distraction. So make a list of what is you're addicted to. What are you addicted to? What are you highly distracted to? What is highly stimulating you? When it's highly stimulating, it will be distracting. Screen time on your iPhone will show you which app you use the most. Some of my, I'm gonna be honest, some of my things right now is Netflix and Facebook. That's me being transparent. Yes, Netflix and Facebook. I'm scrolling. I'm not sure what I'm looking for. I need to delete that app. I feel unfulfilled for a moment there. This last 3 weeks been killing me. There's 1% comfort and the rest was just uncomfortable. Okay. Sugar, I've been eating a lot of sugar because I've been traveling with my kids and they like ice cream. And so I've been eating ice cream with them. And so now I have craving for ice cream every single day. So I've been eating a lot of sugar. And, just occasional, just want to relax and not do anything, or just seeking some more excitement from doing other activities. And so I need to start really cutting back, like going out to the lake and, riding jet skis every weekend is great, but man, that's not good for my relationship. So for me, I consider that bad. But if you're single, it's okay. But for me, that's bad. I can't leave my kids, 8 hours every weekend and not spend time with them. So yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, what is it that's distracting you? What is it that distracting you and is highly stimulating that just stop you and you're thinking about all the time? And every time it comes up, it pulls you away from what it is that you need to do. So write that down, make a list, and ask yourself, what activity am I repeating that's keeping me from staying focused on my task? What is distracting me and keeping me away from my task? All right, number 2. So now we talk about adding friction, adding a wall between that. For me, my number one thing is, of course, deleting all the apps that you have that's distracting you. And I've done that because I can always reinstall it. It's harder to reinstall things. And by the time I reinstall it, my mind is like, I don't really need it. And so if you have notification issues, if you get a lot of text messages, put your phone in another room, put it in a closet, put it in a shelf. So whenever you're doing something, put your phone away somewhere else. So it forces you to walk towards your phone. If you really have a control issues, just turn off your internet, because turning off your internet and then turning it back on requires effort. Just cut the internet if you have to, turn off your phone if you have to. Really, Netflix at my house, I can shut off the internet and nobody can watch anything. Simple as that. And so the goal is to add more block between whatever is distracting you. If it's email, log out of your emails and change the password, make the password really long. And so now every time you check your emails, you're gonna have to remember this long password that you have, right? So all of these things is ways for you to add more friction between the things that's highly stimulating. So right now, that's the goal, is just to add more friction. Right. Number three is make a list of the things you can do. So you got to replace those activities that is stimulating you. Remember, non-stimulating activities are not that fun, like exercising, having conversation with friends might be a little stimulating, but not all the time. Meditation is one of those activities that are not super stimulating, just sitting there in silent. Walking, reading, and journaling. Those things are not fun. A lot of people don't like doing those things because it's not stimulating. But when you are replacing and forcing yourself to do those things, it's giving you time to start reducing, just making your dopamine level less active so that you can start resetting your brain so that you can find more boring activities, more activities that is not super exciting, bearable. And of course, track your progress. Guys, track your progress, check off the calendar, write 3 things down that you're gonna do every day or things that you're not doing. Track that down. So make sure you're tracking that. And the last thing is really just taking action right now by putting do not disturb on your phone. Just turning that on. By just doing that, you stop getting phone calls, you stop getting notifications. Just that one action alone will prevent you from being like distracted. Like if you have kids, so for people who have kids, when you're spending time with your kids, when you get a phone call, automatically you jump to the phone. And sometimes you might stay on the phone longer than you want to. So when you put do not disturb, you don't even know if the call came through. And this applies to doing a task for 45 minutes. Because the instant that somebody calls or a notification comes through, your brain already is like, oh, I want to jump to that notification because I get an exciting feeling from it. So that's what I want to share with you guys today. Just focus on resetting your mind. Spend 24 hours, really just spend 24 hours with do not disturb and see how that works for you. See how that feels and start trying to practice that every single day. And honestly, if it's really important, just add them to a approved call list, add the people to your call list that's important. If it's important, they'll call you, right? And see how that applies, how it reduces your stimulation. Cut all that stimulation out. For me, I'm just gonna do it for a week where no more TV, no more Facebook, no more IG, whatever it may be. I'm just gonna cut out the social media, no more checking emails for a week. It's not gonna kill anybody. If it was important, my wife would check it, so it's okay. I have somebody else check it for me. I'm just like, hey, just check my emails for me. If it's important, let me know. She's already doing that anyway, so I'm just gonna stop doing it because I need to start resetting myself to kind of get back into my routine. And for us, if the activity that you're doing is becoming so unbearable, is because something else is overstimulating you that you feel like it's more fun. Right? If you're doing something that's really boring all the time, and then you do another boring task, it's really the same thing and you won't be as bored, or you won't feel as this thing is very difficult to do, right? It's really about it's really about like the the constant consistent activities that you're always used to doing. Right? It's familiar activity. If your familiar activity is always exciting and fun and jumping off cliffs and skydiving, everything else is going to be seem very underwhelming, right? Living your daily life will be very boring. So that's what it is. So unbearable tasks, whatever that may be, focus on making your life less stimulating, right? Cut out all the stimulation so that you have more time to focus on the unbearable tasks that you don't want to do, things that you're avoiding.